For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The heat wave impacting millions of people in the U.S. South is forecast to expand into the Midwest and Northeast today, putting millions more under heat warnings. The heat wave continues to reach record highs, this time putting Phoenix at 26 days of 110 degrees or higher. It hit 119 degrees Tuesday. In Florida, the ocean water has hit hot tub temperatures exceeding 100 degrees 2 days in a row, which meteorologists say could potentially be the hottest seawater ever measured. A reading on a buoy at Manatee Bay hit 101 degrees Monday night. Scientists are reporting coral bleaching and coral death 26 miles away. NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, says June marked the third straight month of record ocean heat and was the 47th consecutive June with temperatures above the 20th century average. California Senator Alex Padilla is expected to introduce two bills to combat heat-related deaths on the job. Suzanne Potter reports.
The first is the Asuncion Valdivia Heat, Illness, and Fatality Prevention Act, named after a Central Valley farm worker who died after working 10 hours in 105-degree heat. Antonio de Loera Brust with the United Farm Workers says the bill would establish a federal standard on access to shade, water, and paid breaks.
It's nothing radical. This is just the basic necessities for survival that any human being doing physically strenuous activity in these sorts of deadly temperatures would need to survive.
A second bill, known as the HEAT Act, would require the feds to establish a program to improve extreme heat preparedness, planning, and response. Opponents say the proposed federal rules would be too costly for the agricultural industry. This week, 112 members of Congress wrote to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to urge the agency to implement a federal workplace heat standard. California passed its own rules to protect workers from heat exhaustion in 2015. By contrast, in June, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill that would eliminate local ordinances that require water breaks. I'm Suzanne Potter.
Tuesday, a Texas lawmaker and Dolores Huerta, co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, rallied at the nation's capital for a thirst strike to protest Texas's bar on taking water breaks on the job. A federal judge has blocked the Biden administration's new rule that allows immigration authorities to deny asylum to migrants who arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border if they first don't apply online or seek protection in a country they passed through. U.S. District Judge John Tiger of the Northern District of California delayed his ruling from taking effect immediately to give the president's administration time to appeal. Critics who sued, including the ACLU, said the Biden rule was similar to policies enacted by the former Donald Trump administration that courts had previously struck down. The new rule imposes severe limitations on migrants seeking asylum, but includes room for exceptions and does not apply to children traveling alone. Ohio voters will decide whether to guarantee access to abortion in the state. State officials Tuesday said a ballot measure to change the state constitution had enough signatures. It would establish a fundamental right to reproductive freedom with reasonable limits. It remains to be seen what percentage of the Ohio electorate would need to support the amendment for it to pass. That depends on the outcome of an August 8th special election called by state House Republicans to determine whether to raise the threshold for passing constitutional changes from a simple majority to a 60% supermajority. The U.S. Senate is rushing to pass its defense policy bill this week before Congress leaves for its extended summer recess. The Republican-controlled House passed its version of the National Defense Authorization Act to fund the Pentagon. It contained controversial provisions to limit abortion and gender-affirming care for service members. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer of New York says the Senate version will avoid that. The Senate is in its second week of debate on the NDAA, an $886 billion Pentagon spending bill. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says he will vote against it and that it should be cut and the money reallocated to housing, climate action, health, education, and other national priorities. Lawmakers and advocacy groups rallied Tuesday in Washington, D.C., warning against Medicare Advantage, a bundled plan from private health insurance companies approved by Medicare. Healthcare advocates say private insurers wrongfully delay patient care and in some cases deny it altogether. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren cited a University of Southern California study that found Medicare Advantage insurers overcharge customers by $75 billion this year. The study says the fee per service is more expensive than traditional Medicare. Warren said Medicare Advantage plans denied about 85,000 people coverage in 2021. Medicare advocates are planning a day of action July 30th to celebrate Medicare's 58th birthday. I'm Christina Onestad reporting for Pacifica Radio.